Well, so let me get in Mr. Tehseen Poonawalla. Mr. Tehseen Poonawalla, why is the Congress party so worried about everything that's happening in the Modi government? Because they didn't worry about the same things when they were in government themselves. Because this issue came up in the Supreme Court in 2013, and we've shown you that JCO recruitment or recruitments in other areas of the armed forces always asked for these caste certificates and religion declarations. Why has it become an issue today in 2022 for the Congress party? Number one. Number two, is it just pathological opposition to anything that the Modi Sarkar does? That is the Congress's reflex action. Because whether it is the CAA bill, whether it is the farm laws, which the Congress itself mentioned in its own statement ahead of elections, whether it is anything, whether it is unparliamentary language, dharnas, everything, you have a problem with the Sarkar. And when it comes to the surgical strikes, you don't bother, you don't take a breath before doubting the armed forces. So how come suddenly you've become such conscience keepers of the armed forces today? Tehseen?
Namaskar, ma'am. Thank you for having me on the show. Namaskar to all my fellow panelists and to your viewers. It's a very long question. I'm going to answer them. I just hope I'm not interrupted. I get the same time Nalinji got, so I can answer them very technically. For the first part of your question onto why this caste issue is creating a trouble between the opposition is worried about it. You see, in the old scheme, people who were recruited in the army went into various regiments. Some of these regiments were over 100 years old. If everything had to be done by the old scheme, which by the way, you're not recruiting people today in the army by the old scheme, you've come up with a brand new scheme, then why do you have to follow old methods? The fact is that Agnipath is a pan-India scheme. And in the pan-India scheme, unlike a regimental scheme, you do not require the caste certificate. Yes, religion because of the last rites may be required, but you don't require a caste certificate, which comes to the pertinent point Mr. Nalin Koliji raised. Mr. Nalin Koliji very conveniently shifted the goalposts. He's a fantastic lawyer to the recruitment in the central armed forces and other central government agencies. Except Mr. Nalin Kohli fails to answer one question, that these are figures of the Ministry of Home Affairs. At the moment in the police force, there's a vacancy of 5.30 lakhs. 1.30 lakhs only in Uttar Pradesh. In the central government where armed forces are supposed to be recruited, and I think Sushantji said that the average tenure of our soldiers today is 15 years, so they should be recruited in our central government where there is a vacancy for them. It's 1.29%, and in our public sector undertakings, it's 0.3%, Nalinji, 0.3%. The worrying factor is that people who will leave Agnipath, these 75% people, while you promise a jumla of recruiting them, you've not even recruited the earlier people who have left via the old scheme. And none of the BJP spokespersons on any show, and I hope you can correct me, explain to us how you will recruit them in the central government schemes, because there exists a limit in the central government schemes. Are you bringing in a new law to change that limit? There already is a reservation for armed forces. Is this beyond that reservation? Can we get specific answers? And
so Tehseen Poonawalla, no. Allow me to come in, Tehseen Poonawalla. So you're back to the recruitment and you don't have a problem with the caste certificate. Is that what you're saying?
No,
you're back to the June 14th.
No, I'm not. You're misunderstanding me. I have a problem with the caste certificate in the Agnipath scheme, not in the regimental scheme. Please kindly allow me to again clarify. The earlier scheme was based on various regiments, so the caste was used so you could have a mix and match in the various regiments. This was the dream of our founding fathers. So we don't have a caste-dominated army. For example, like in Pakistan, we have a Punjabi-dominated army, which has created problems. In India, right now, the Agnipath is a pan-India scheme, so caste is not required. Why do you require the caste certificate for a pan-India scheme, which is not divided on regiments?
For administrative purposes, just for the same reason it was required earlier, Mr. Tehseen Poonawalla. But why don't you answer the question, considering you are such a progressive party that you support, why don't you answer this question, that why did it carry on in the same manner till 2014? When the Congress was in power, you're a liberal party, you're a forward-moving party. Why was this part of your recruitment policy right up until 2013, 2014?
Because, ma'am, in the earlier process, you went to various regiments. For example, the Jat regiment, the Maratha regiment, the Punjab regiment. Therefore, you required the caste certificate. So, so in all regiments, there can be a mix and match. That was a thought about policy.
So can somebody answer, are Agniveers banned from going into any regiments? Will they not be taken in by regiments? Is this a flawed argument that is being made by Tehseen Poonawalla? Saurabh Bhardwaj wants to come in. Yes, Mr. Bhardwaj.
Sure, but I would also like to answer
this
that.
question. So this question was asked in the press conference, whether you are breaking the regimental system of army, and it was replied, yes, regimental system will go away. And that is the reason why a lot of officers and veterans of army are very worried that this regimental system formed the bedrock of army. It was the So it will basically weaken the army. By breaking away this regimental system, you will weaken the army. And now I come to the question, when the regimental system is going away, why does the government need the caste certificate of the person? Why do they want to identify people with the caste? Because there is a worry among the people belonging to different castes that government may use this platform to exploit or to work against particular caste.
Okay. All right.